It is safe to say one of the greatest things that came out during the Limit Break era is easily some of the boss in it that was released during the time, including their sub-clan. A very good example of this is of course Dai Kaiser and my personal favorite Nebula Knight. So what if the Nebula Knight actually still alive after 3000 years and instead of using Jewel, they harness the power of space? What? That is exactly what Nebula Knight actually does, and at the same time I have never seen Bushiroad trying to cram multiple mechanics that is actually related to Kita Sanctuary into a single archetype. How good exactly it turned out, that is exactly what I'm gonna be talking about today. So we're gonna have to start off of course with the right line with Nebula Knight of Inheritance series, our usual grade 0 unit, purely because of the fact that that is exactly what you're gonna need to run to activate the grade 1 version of this card, Nebula Knight of Guiding series. This unit only have one skill where when placed by riding from Nebula Knight of Inheritance series, reveal a grade 3 with Nebula Knight in his card name from your right deck, search your deck for up to one Nebula Knight of Yearning Coranis, call it to Reka Circle and shuffle the deck. I'm gonna talk about Coranis later, but essentially this is just a guaranteed filter 1. Nothing too special, but considering the main mechanic of Coranis, it is a necessity. But for now, let's get to the grade 2 version of series, and that is Nebula Knight of Glory series. This unit has 2 skills where when rolled upon by grade 3 card with series in its card name, you can Soul Blast 1, look at top 7 card of your deck, choose up to 1 card with Nebula Knight in its card name from among them, review it and put it into your hand and shuffle the deck. The other skill is when this unit intercept, if you have a Nebula Knight Vanguard that is being attacked, this unit get additional 5k shield until end of that battle. The second skill is there purely because it is a new archetype, so you do have to run some multiple copy of this, though let's be real here, it is not necessary. And the Soul Blast 1, albeit doesn't have a refund, the good thing about this skill is that it can fetch for any Nebula Knight cards. This will come in relevancy later on as I go through some of the new support. But for now, let's get to the grooviest version of series, and that is Glistening Nebula Knight Lord series. This unit has 2 skills where act once per turn, you can return 2 cards with Nebula Knight in this card name from your drop back to deck, choose up to 1 of your rare card and search your deck for up to 1 card with Nebula Knight in its card name with a grade +1 of your chosen unit, call it on the Reka Circle the chosen unit is on and shuffle the deck. Then when this unit attack, counter blast 1, choose a column stand of your rare card with Nebula Knight in its card name in that column, and if you personal roll this turn, discard a trigger unit from your hand, look at the same number of your top of your deck as a number of your rare card with Nebula Knight in this card name and put them on top of the deck in any order. Okay, credit due to what it's due first. Its first skill is essentially the strike skill of Luard, albeit a little bit more flexible but at the same time restrictive to Nebula Knights. But the fact that you can just choose any rare card to essentially turn into another Nebula Knight is a huge deal. The second skill is pretty solid. I mean, it's a 4 full attacks with ability to shake up to 5 cards at top of your deck and rearrange it. This is good, though I do feel it should not be personal road lock. At least lock it behind more than just one condition. This would make the card so much better. Okay, just to clarify for those who can't read, I meant the alternate condition, not 2 different conditions for this skill, especially considering what the rear guard actually does. And we can start off with the card I mentioned earlier, and that is Nebula Knight of Yearning Coranis. This unit has only one skill where when boost a grade 3 or greater unit with Nebula Knight in this card name, this unit get +2k until end of that battle. Then you can discard a card from your hand, reveal a top card of your deck. If it's a trigger unit, choose one of your opponent front row rare card in the same column as this unit and retire it, and then put the reveal card to the top or the bottom of the deck. You start to see more of the mechanic of Nebula Knight as you start going through the support, as now you have quite a strong relationship with triggers, similarly to how Solarion has a strong relationship with normal unit. But I do have to admit, this is definitely what Solarion could have been but couldn't. Emotional, damn it! Back to the Coranis though, this unit definitely is a decent card. I mean, it is a 10k booster with ability to retire a front row rare card if needed to, even if you are revealing your informations. Though, to be fair, you can bot it if you want to as well. So this does give you a layer of flexibility on what you can do with the top card that was revealed. But this is not the only form of Coranis. No. Because apparently Sirius and Coranis are essentially Xiaohu's friend, I guess.
Sounds fair.
who eventually ended up grew up to be a lot and a close 8 I guess, as we have the grade 2 version of Coranis, Nebula Knight of Piercing and Coranis. This unit has 2 skills where when this unit is placed on the Reka circle that a grade 1 Coranis is on and your opponent Vanguard is grade 2 or greater, you can counter blast one, search your deck for up to 1 grade 3 card with Coranis in this card name, call it to Reka circle this unit is on and shuffle the deck. And then constant Reka circle, if your Vanguard is Nebula Knight, it cannot be retired by card effect. This does kind of play around the mechanic a little bit. Considering the grade 3 skill, you technically can jump immediately into the grade 3 if you're going second, and on top of that it has ability to kind of self-protect itself to an extent, though I would say it could have been better if it does have different type of protection skill. So how does the grade 3 version of Coranis actually fare? Well, we have Nebula Knight of Heroism Coranis. This unit has 3 skills where when this unit is placed on Reka circle with a grade 2 unit with Coranis in its card name, choose up to 1 grade 1 with Coranis in its card name from your drop, call it to back row Reka circle, and if your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, you may pay additional Soul Blast 1 to look at top 2 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card from among them, put it into your hand and put the rest to top or bottom of your deck. Then when this unit attack and you have a Nebula Knight Vanguard, it get additional 5k, and at the end of your turn, choose a grade 2 or less with Nebula Knight in this card name from your drop, call it to Reka circle that this unit is on as race. This effect is mandatory. So yeah, the whole Coranis right line is kind of a main right line you want to play with the series, because for one, this card essentially just generate the whole column of Nebula Knight instantly by herself, and at the same time also give you a little bit of deck manipulation, which is something that the deck want to use a lot. At the same time, the first skill also can be cycle consistently thanks to the grade 3 Coranis last skill, which able to spawn any grade 2 or less Nebula Knight from your drop. Then we do have 2 more Nebula Knight cards to talk about, one of which is Nebula Knight of Equestrian Archery Hajina. Hajina has 2 skills where during your turn, if your Reka was retired or put into zone during this turn main phase, this unit get plus 5k, and if your opponent Reka is grade 3 or greater, it get 10 instead of 5. Then auto on Reka circle once per turn, when this unit attack a Reka while boost a unit with Nebula Knight in this card name, so blast 1 discard a card from your hand, reveal the top card of your deck. If it's a trigger, choose one of your opponent front row Reka and bind it. If it's not, choose one of your opponent back row Reka and bind it. Then put the reveal card onto the top or bottom of your deck. This card I would say is a really strong card as an early game aggro, because 80% of her skill is not locked behind grade 3 or any restriction at all except for needing a Nebula Knight Vanguard, is a really huge help, because that means that you can start controlling and also do deck manipulation at the start of the game as well. Though I would have to admit this card cost is a little bit annoying, at least in my case, and the fact that it has to be boosted as well. And you might notice as part of the first skill actually require either a Reka was retired during main phase or a unit is put into soul during main phase. What unit actually put itself into soul during main phase? Well, we are talking about the last Nebula Knight that was revealed, and that is Nebula Knight of Accompanying Illusion for Malut. This unit has 2 skills where when it is discarded from hand during your turn and you have a Nebula Knight Vanguard, you may hold this card to Reka circle, but it cannot attack until end of turn. Then if your Vanguard is Nebula Knight, you can put it into your soul, look at top card of your deck and put it at the top or bottom of your deck. By this point, you might be seeing a lot of overlap between Geo Knights and Oracle Think Tank mixed together into this archetype, which is something I'm really glad to see. And yes, this is essentially a discard cycler of this deck that also works double as the discard target for some of the Nebula Knight skill, and also one of the quickest way for you to get early game deck manipulation without a hefty cost. That says a lot about how aggressive Nebula Knight can get at the start of the game and how important it actually is. As we go into the last card that was revealed for the archetype, well, it's not exactly a card in the booster itself, but rather a book promo, and it is safe to say it is quite busted, as we have the Nebula Knight parts from the Starry Sea. This order can be played by any means, and it can be played from drop as well, and once you play, you have to bind it and perform one of the following. Look at top 7 card of your deck, choose up to 1 unit card with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard from among them, call it to a card and shuffle the deck. Then if you have a Nebula Knight Vanguard, you can counter blast 1, look at top 3 cards of your deck, choose a card from among them, put it into your hand, choose another, put it at the top of your deck and discard the rest. If your opponent is grade 3 or greater, choose 2 of your card and they get 5k until end of turn as well.
Amazing. A booby trap that actually catches boobies.
Yeah, Nebula Knight's gonna have to use this card because it is so busted. It can be played from drop, it can actually search easily, and it is generic, and on top of that, it can boost a decent amount of power to your Nebula Knights on top of pull a Bifrost. Even better Bifrost in fact, because one of the cards, instead of going to soul, it left at the top of the deck. So yeah, it is safe to say this is gonna be quite expensive when it's coming out, even if it is a grade 3 order, which is the main weakness of this order. However, one more thing I have to mention is the fact that it has Nebula Knight in this card name.
I don't like where this is going.
This means that it is actually searchable by the grade 2 skill. So yeah, it technically does have more use in Nebula Knights in specific. But how good are they? Well, to put it simply, Nebula Knight is essentially what if Jewel Knights in V version is mixed with Oracle Think Tank, deck recycle, and a little bit of control mixed in as well. This does make the deck have some unique flair to it. Though when I say unique, I mean it's like adding a sea salt caramel to a vanilla ice cream. Like it make it unique enough, but it's still vanilla. This is on top of the fact that the number is actually not bad when all things considered, especially some of the Nebula Knights actually gain a decent chunk of power on their own. The problem with this deck based on my testing so far is the fact that Nebula Knight definitely has a really weak hand size due to many of the skills require you to discard. Yes, there are some cards that help you to kind of elevate the issue, but at the same time, if you do not draw into this, the deck hand size is definitely compromised, which made things worse for the deck in general, as one of the skill of series is being locked behind the persona right. Credit due to what is due, this restriction is well deserved, but I do have to say this is 2025. I expected them to move on from giving a persona right lock skill to a boss unit, and at the time recording, I think there is not enough Nebula Knights right now. Yes, you do have Coranis, which is 3 different cards, Sirius, which is like 4 different cards as well, but I feel there are too little Nebula Knight with actual utility to actually make this thing works. But as we have seen with Jewel Knights, as we get more members, the deck will get much more stronger, and that's Nebula Knights. I apologize if there are some hiccup in the way I carry on the video today, because this just me just came back from a trip, so I'm getting back into the groove as I can. But what do you guys think? Is Nebula Knights actually an insane archetype, or it is just groovy? Do leave down in comments below. And yeah, that's all I have for today. Take care of yourself and don't forget to clap that sub and become a member for some cool perks. This is Mechanic signing out.